Hello everyone. Today we'll discuss the digestive system in Balanoglossus. So the alimentary canal in the Balanoglossus, it is the straight tube and that lacks the intrinsic musculature or intrinsic muscles. And this system in the Balanoglossus, it starts from this mouth. Then this mouth it leads into the buccal cavity and that leads into the what? The pharynx, then the esophagus, and next to this is the what? The intestine. And the last part that we called it as what? The anal opening or anus. So the digestive system or the basic plan of digestive system, it having the what? The mouth, then buccal cavity, then pharynx, esophagus, then intestine, and the what that is the anus. The mouth is permanently open. This is a mouth which remains permanently open and it present ventral side. It is present at which side? Ventral side. In between where? In between the proboscis stalk. This is the proboscis and it is at the in between the proboscis stalk and the what that is a collar. Means in between the collar and the proboscis stalk at the ventral side there is a opening which is a permanent opening and that we called it as a mouth. Then mouth leads into the what? The cavity and that cavity we called it as a what? The buccal cavity, which is in the form of buccal tube. This is what? The buccal tube and that we called it as a what? The buccal cavity. And which is in the form of buccal tube or occupying the center of the collar interior. This is a collar and at the interior of the collar or at the center of the collar there is a cavity and this is a what? The buccal cavity. The buccal diverticulum arises from the dorsal side of the buccal cavity. So you can observe the word that is the buccal diverticulum. It arises from the word that is this is the buccal diverticulum, and this buccal diverticulum it this you can observe this is the buccal diverticulum and it arises from the word that is the roof of the buccal cavity. So it arises from the dorsal side of the buccal cavity and during development it gets cut off from the cavity of the gut. So this is about the buccal cavity. The buccal cavity is lined with tall, vacuolated and ciliated cells and also they are having the mucus secreting gland cells. Means the buccal cavity having the what? Which type of the cells? Tall cells. Likewise what we have discussed in the dermis. That is what? The buccal cavity is lined with a tall, not dermis, epidermis. That is buccal cavity is lined with tall, vacuolated, ciliated and the what? The mucus secreting gland cells which secretes a mucus. Then buccal cavity in the region of septum between the collar and the trunk. This is the collar and the what that is this is a trunk. From where this ends or this constriction is there at that from that portion there is a start of the what? The trunk. That is the what? The trunk part and end of the collar region. So the buccal cavity in the region of septum between collar and trunk, it leads into the what? The neck structure and that we call it as a pharynx. The pharynx is a wide part of the alimentary canal. Why it is pharynx? From here we can observe the what these are the gill openings or the gill slits or gills. So this constriction results in the formation of the ridge or fold from each side extending into the cavity and this is called as a what? Parabranchial ridge. and this parabranchial ridge is the what present there, and the pharynx, that is what the two ridges these do not meet at the middle, where the longitudinal slit remain, through which the pharyngeal region communicates with the digestive region. This is the pharyngeal region, and after that this pharyngeal region will communicate with the what digestive region, like this. According to some authors, the ventral region is the esophagus. Means this ventral region or the lower region, this is the what? The esophagus. And they call part of alimentary canal as a pharynx esophagus. Means no such separate esophagus. That is a what? This pharynx. Some of the authors say this upper part as a pharynx and this lower part as a what? That is a esophagus. So the dorsal region is perforated by, this is the dorsal region where you can observe the dorsal nerve cord, and this is perforated by the what? That is the small openings or the U-shaped gill slits or openings. The ventral region is lined by glandular ciliated cells. Means on the ventral side there is a presence of the glandular ciliated cells, and these glandular ciliated cells, it secretes what? The mucus, which helps in the formation of the what? That is a food channel, or which serves as a what? That is a the food channel. The esophagus is a short region of the alimentary canal between the pharynx and the hepatic region of the intestine. This is the pharynx, and this is the part of the what here this is the pharyngeal part, and this is the intestine. From here the what? Intestine will start or run, and so here the what? That is the esophagus is a small part, and its lumen is large and lined by low or more less scalloped epithelium. The intestine is the longest part of the alimentary canal, which runs straight to open to exterior by the opening, and that opening is called as the anus. So means after this pharyngeal region, the next region starts, and that is nothing but a what? The intestine, and that intestine terminally ends with the what? That is a, it ends into the what? The anus. The anterior part of intestine marked by the development of the hepatic ceca, and that region is called as the what? Hepatic region. These hepatic ceca are having the pair of saculations or saccular part or rounded portions push the body wall outwards and thus visible externally. Means these saculations or hepatic ceca are present on the trunk, and these are visible externally. And these hepatic ceca are dark colored due to presence of brown or green inclusions in the tall glandular epithelial cells lining their cavity, and this region is, is richly supplied with the blood. So this is regarding the what? The intestine. Then next to the intestine, the wall of the intestine is much more or greatly folded. The intestinal lumen is lined with columnar ciliated epithelium. The grooves formed by folding of the wall are provided with tall epithelial cells with longer cilia than elsewhere, and are called ciliated grooves. And they are symmetrically placed dorsolateral grooves or a single groove on the left. So the wall of intestine is much more folded, and its lumen is that is aligned with the columnar ciliated epithelium, and these having the longer cilia other than the elsewhere and called as a ciliated groove. So this is regarding the what? The intestine, and that ends into the opening, and that is we called it as a what? The anus. Now this food feeding and digestion in the Balanoglossus, how it feeds. The food of Balanoglossus, it comprises of the microorganisms or organic debris present in the sand. Means whatever the organic material or dead decaying matter which is present in the sand, it feeds on that. The feeding of this animal is closely associated with its locomotion as in earthworm. As the animal burrows in the sand particles are loosened by the thirst of proboscis, are swallowed by animal along with large quantity of water. The nutriting material adhering to the sand are taken along with the sand particles and are passed out through the anus in the form of castings. Means the sand particles and what the other matter, whatever the not digested, these are released outside the anus in the form of the worm castings. The ciliated epithelium over the proboscis helps in feeding by carrying the food particles caught in the mucus covering the proboscis to the mouth. Means the ciliated epithelium which is present in the proboscis, it secretes a mucus. Means the ciliated epithelium which is present in the what? This proboscis region and this pharyngeal region, what it secretes a mucus, and this mucus captures the whatever the food material within the water it captures, and so that this mucus loaded with the what food material, it gets what heavier, and it is pushed up toward the digestive system, and whatever the extra water it will be released outside by the what this is the pharyngeal opening or the what that gill slits. So the ciliated epithelium over the proboscis helps in feeding by carrying the food particles caught in the mucus covering of the proboscis to the mouth. The cilia lining the gill slits and pharyngeal cavity maintain powerful ciliary current, which enters through the mouth and brings with it food particles which are caught by the mucus. Means due to the ciliary current, it brings the food toward the mouth, and within the mouth there is a presence of the mucus. To this mucus these food particles get attached, and that passes these particles to the ventral part of the pharynx, and rest of the water it goes outside through the wall that is the gill opening or gill slits. So this is the what the food feeding means. This feeds on the what that is the whatever the food material, it comes along with the what that is the beating of the cilia, it goes to the mouth, and where the mucus here in this portion the mucus is there, it gets stick up to the what that is a mucus, and it forms a heavy particle, and so these become settled down, and so that it moves toward the directly moves toward the what that is a the digestive system, and not toward to the exterior to or the outside the body, and whatever the excessive food material, it is released outside the body through the what opening, or that is called as a what the gill slits. So this is the course of the water from where the what that is a food move along with the from the surface of the proboscis into the what that is a mouth. Then it goes to the what that is a pharynx and the esophagus, where it is caught by the mucus particle, and this particle it becomes heavier, and it is now what it goes toward the directly it is pushed up toward the digestive system. This is the course of food material, and whatever the water which is present into the what excess amount of the water which is present here, it will leave the body, it will what hell exchange of the O2 and the CO2 will occur in the gill region, and excess of the water it will be out released outside the body by the what that is opening, and that opening is called as a what the gill slits or the gill openings. So this is the digestive system and food feeding in the what that is a this Balanoglossus. You can observe here the what that is the digestive pharynx. This is the cavity in the what that is the pharynx region, and around the pharynx you can observe the what that is the gonads. This is the branchogenital region portion, and this is the pharyngeal region, and these are the gonads or these gonads which will produce the sex cells, and these are the what the tongue bars, and these are the branchial vessels. This is the ventral vessel, and the what that is a ventral nerve cord, and the what dorsal nerve cord, and this is the genital wing. Then if you observe the section of the what that is the hepatic intestine, you can observe the much more folded wall of the intestine helps in the what that is the absorption of the what food material, and whatever the undigested food material along with the sand particle, it will be released outside the body in the form of castings from the what that is the anus, and this is the what the gill region or the pharyngeal part, where the what that is the whatever the food material present with the water present in the water, it will get attached to the mucus, and it will be what directly transported to the what digestive system or toward the intestine, and whatever there will be the exchange of gases in the what these gill slits or the gills, and whatever the excess of the water, it will be released outside the body through the what that is a gill pore or the what gill openings. This is all about the what the digestive system of the this Balanoglossus. Thank you.